Go ahead, Tony.
This is Special Agent Anthony Amoroso, Jr., Federal Bureau of Investigation. Today's date is January 7th, 1980. Location, a townhouse in Washington, D.C. In a short while, I'm expecting a meeting between myself, Mel Weinberg, Howard Criden, and U.S. Congressman John Murtha. In front of me is $50,000 in 5 packets. Each packet contains $10,000 in $100 bills. I am placing this money in the desk drawer directly in front of me. This money will remain in such a position until the termination of my meeting, which is to take place later on this morning.
Mel Weinberg.
Got something grippy. That's campaigning grip.
Where's Tony?
Run that, Fad.
Like his house?
Hello, Howard. How you doing?
Okay, how are you?
How much you pay for this?
How you doing?
Let's Sandy, break your fingers. He said,
Let's see.
this house costs $250,000.
Is that what this house costs?
300.
$300,000. You know what you could buy this house for at home? Shit. Well, of course, this is nice inside, but you know, you get out of here in this goddamn place, you look at these houses and you get, your mind gets screwed up by thinking the prices are so far out of line.
Well, prices within these major cities are it's only buying is location. You're not buying content or building. Hey, what's the matter with Florida?
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
You know, down there it's unbelievable.
It's worse than it is here?
It's they average, I think what the average now is going is, they say that the houses are increasing about $900 to $1,000 a month.
Well, you've been in my place.
Yeah.
I have a place in Florida.
Got a gorgeous place.
A nice place right on the ocean. The boys have been there. I paid $75,000 for that
What
apartment.
by yard and a half today?
$1.50. I could get $150,000.
How long ago?
6 years ago.
And 6 years ago, they couldn't give them places away.
Exactly.
You know, we had a guy named Jack Slack, who's a member from West Virginia. He bought a house for $53,000, maybe 8 years ago. He sold it and moved over to the hill, and had people broke in, all kinds of problems, so he couldn't. Son of a bitch, 3 years later, he bought the same house back for $89,000. Today, the goddamn thing's worth about $125,000 or $30,000. I mean, it's unbelievable. The goddamn.
Well, I was reading an article the other day, about a week ago. There's a congressman living in his office.
Yeah.
He can't afford to buy a place.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. Do you know who this fellow is?
Sure, know him well.
He lives actually in his office,
right.
and he goes to the club in the morning to take his shower.
That's right. You got we got a locker room there with a swimming pool and so forth. And can you imagine a guy doing that? It's crazy.
Well, I can understand. Listen, I came down last night, okay?
Yeah, well, they get over $100.
And I stayed at the Hyatt,
Right.
which is because it's close to the hill. And I came, my son's on his way to Florida. You know my son, Arthur.
Yeah.
So he was on his way to Florida. So I said, listen, we'll drive down, we'll stay overnight, we'll have breakfast, and I'll show you around. I brought him in this morning, and I showed him around. So we got a room just for the two of us, $110, and it's much nicer than a Holiday Inn room that you would get anywhere else. Fucking heat didn't work when I got in last night. I had to call down to send up. Nothing.
I'll tell you this, Howard, across the river now, in Alexandria, they've got the Ramada Inn, very nice, $43 a night, and it's just as nice as the Hyatt Regency, because I've been in both places. They got it 12 minutes away from the Capitol, but people don't know about it.
The restaurant top?
No, that's the Marriott. That's, or I don't know if that's Ramada or not.
That's
it's
Ramada.
beyond that, down on the other side of the airport. 12 minutes from the Capitol, and the goddamn thing is $43 a night, and they have rates sometime on the weekends where they're cheaper than that.
Well, we stay in the plaza in the city, and they get $100 a day.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
Everything in the city, and all you have to do is go across the goddamn bridge a little bit out of the way. Holiday Inn down in Alexandria is about $50 or $60. The reason I know this, my brothers, I invite them up every year. we have a little family reunion. I have 3 brothers, and so we check around to get the best prices. You know, by God, just a little bit out of town, they're reasonable goddamn prices.
Unbelievable, this town. This town's the worst, I think, in New York. I really do. I think it's weird. Let's get talking about some business, man, because I think that John may have some things that, you know, mutual interest, okay?
All right.
John comes from a district which is a large coal mining area. Okay.
Well, let me tell you the district, and matter of fact, just telling Howard on the way up here, we're trying to get Westinghouse to build a synthetic fuel plant in our district, $1.5 billion. And I had the Assistant Secretary of Energy for procurement and for commercialization over to the office, and the son of a bitch, the guy from Westinghouse comes in and almost screws it up by saying, well, our process isn't this. And after the Department of Energy recommends the bastards, you know, he's giving us a runaround. I don't understand it, but anyway, the point is, we've got 50% of the coal reserves in Pennsylvania, the district. We've got coal mines on their ass. I mean, they're hurting because in '74, when we had the embargo, they wanted to produce coal. The government said we're going to go to coal. They spent a lot of money. Some of them mortgaged their goddamn houses and businesses and everything else, bought big equipment, and the demand for coal went down. The demand for coal is starting to go up. We got this program nationally, which is at the point where we're going to have coal conversion all through the eastern United States, and it's going to be big. We figure they'll start using eastern coal in the next year or so, but these guys can't hold out. They're going bankrupt to Chapter 13, a hell of a lot of them. I don't know, there were 5 in one week period when I was meeting a group up there in Clarion County. We've got a lot of small plants, a lot of small businesses. One big steel mill, only one city, the rest is a very agricultural, rural type district. But we need some business, and Howard said you guys are looking for some investment opportunities, and we're looking for money.
What grade coal is it?
Well, it's bituminous, all bituminous coal. The sulfur content is anywhere from, well, we got one mine that's got just above 1 point sulfur content. Now, that's rare. Most of our sulfur content is higher than that. But it's heavily mined coal. The problem is the demand because of the sulfur content. Now,
is it shell coal off the top, or is it mined?
Both. We got deep coal and strip coal.
You got strip coal?
Both, and just sold, just signed the lease, and I was instrumental in getting this with Korea to buy, well, open a new mine. Barnes and Tucker, which is a fairly big outfit, is going to sell coal to Korea over an extended period of time and put about 1,000 miners to work in that area. In Somerset County, we got an agreement, which we're working on right now with some environmental committees and so forth, trying to get this thing ironed out. And they'll put about 400 or 500 to work. Now, both these are deep mines. We got all kinds of strip mining in the area also, where the big investment is, of course, in machinery.
Machinery, you need the wet
that's right. And these guys, up to their ass in debt, can't afford the goddamn payments. They got trucks and machines. You know, these trucks today are 45, 50.
Sounds like this would be a good way of if we invest, of helping you out in the position that we want you to take with us, by by saying, hey, this is why I'm standing up for these people. Is that they're investing.
What we were talking about.
That's exactly what I have to have. In other words, I've got to have a key to be able. I've been so involved in these things that I've talked to Howard at some length about this. You've got to have a key, and the key is, as long as it's in my district, I don't give a shit what extent we have to go to or what length, and everybody else feels the same way. So we got to have something in the district. In order to
help you.
Well, sure, because I mean, let's back up and run through this thing, okay? Now, we have actually 2 sheikhs, okay, that we work for. And these guys want to guarantee that they're going to be able to come into this country and that they're going to be able to stay here. I mean, we started this thing a long time ago, Howard knows, we were just getting into inquiry about it, and all of a sudden it was like these guys had this foresight to see that these kind of things were starting to happen, and you know, you wind up with
We're
the
talking
Shah.
about the Shah and Afghanistan
and Khomeini, what was
and
the
Mecca thing, you
yeah.
know, in Saudi where they attacked the
Well, that was to get the king.
yeah, sure.
So these fellas want to get out, okay? And they figure as soon as the time is right, they're going to have to get out. And I've explained to Howard that we're not going to have, just, you know, to make you understand this, okay? Because I think if the case is different than what I say, then I think you have the option of doing a couple of things. And I'd like to, you know, just get into this whole thing. These guys, there's not going to be a hue and cry as there is with the Shah that, you know, they fell on television waving an artificial leg and, you know,
they shot the kid's arms off.
The kid with no arms and
Yeah.
whatnot. We're only talking about, as far as I'm concerned and I'm told, is that these guys are only problem that they're going to have is the people will probably yell and scream, say, hey, they ran away with half the country's financial assets. You know, it's going to be a monetary thing. It's not going to be that you know, they tortured anybody, they committed atrocities.
You won't have any problem getting them.
Okay.
You don't need anybody to get people like that in.
Well, I disagree with you, and that's why we're willing to pay. And this is the reason that, like I say, if this thing is any different than what I'm saying right now, okay, I think, and
how many people are you talking about?
Now we're talking about the 50,000. 50,000 is for one guy, just for the one guy, okay? The other guy, he'll be 50,000, okay? That's what we're talking about. Now, if the thing is any different than what I state, I think, and you can hold me to it, you have the option of doing two things. One, either saying, hey, no good, okay? Or two, saying, it's going to cause all this kind of trouble. It's got to cost more, okay? Now that I think is a fair way of expressing this thing.
That's what you're going to have to see me about.
Hey,
I honestly don't think you'll have any problem. I mean, I'm going to lay it out to you.
well, you're the man. You're the man that's going to have to introduce
Yeah.
some kind of legislation to keep this guy in.
You may not have to. That you have to leave to us.
Well, I have to know what he's going to do. I mean, because I have to go back and tell these people.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that in order to introduce legislation, you have to have a real tie to the district. And one of the things that a lot of guys have gotten in trouble with is that type of thing. Now, I haven't seen any problem with anybody coming into the country at all that's got money. The only guys that have any trouble coming into the country are ones that don't have money. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I mean, I've got as much influence in that goddamn Congress with leadership and with the White House as anybody in Congress.
Well, that's what Howard told us.
That's true. There's no question about it. And I haven't been here a long time, but I know the right people and I know the system, and I went to the ball game with the president. In other words, there were three of us, me, Tip, and that's it. So I've got as much influence, and I know as much about the goddamn workings as any. You're not going to have any trouble. And there's no use me telling you are going to have any trouble, and I'm not trying to be flippant about the son of a bitch. You're not going to have any trouble. Now, to introduce legislation would be the last thing that you'd want done. In other words, what should be done, and I mentioned this to Howard before, should look into this thing to see exactly what the circumstances are about this situation. Now that I know a little bit more about it, I can tell you, in a week or so, I can tell you exactly what, I mean, I have a guy who has more influence with immigration than anybody in Congress. He and I are like that. He can tell me in 5 minutes if there's going to be a problem, if anything can be done, if anything can't be done. And I honestly don't think you got a problem. I honestly think.
Well, John, what we want with buying insurance with this is what he wants.
Well,
he wants to know
you
you're
can buy
in
insurance
4 o'clock.
if you want to. But I'm going to tell you something. To me, insurance is invested in my goddamn district. And doing this goddamn, this is, to me, a big goddamn insurance policy is doing business in my district. And I'm going to tell you something. there was an article in the Bulletin the other day, you might have seen it, Howard, Jack Murtha deals in the district, and that's right. You know, I want this guy to spend money in my district. I want this connection in my goddamn district. I'm delighted to do business with the guy and do any goddamn thing I can within bounds, you know, so I don't get myself in jail, in order to get him into the country or whatever needs to be done. Mm-hmm. But I've got to know the details. And when I say the details, I've got to know when he wants to come. I've got to know how many in the family. I've got to know, you know, a lot of goddamn things. Okay. And then I can check into it. I can tell you exactly whether you're throwing your goddamn self away, or or you're.
Well, let me, and I'm going to be blunt now. Let me ask you now. What are you telling me now that, as far as you're concerned, is you don't want any money on this thing, or you just want it to be worked as far as
that's right,
about putting this thing into your district, and that's all you want out of this?
I'll tell you exactly what I'd like. I'd like to be able to tell you that there's some places I'd like you to invest some money in the banks in my district. And I'd say some, you know, some substantial deposits, you know.
Well, we just put $1 million in one of the banks down in New Jersey. I mean, you know.
I think we ought to do the original thing, because we have some other commitments to some other people.
Now, that's up to you, but to me...
Well, no, it's not up to me.
Let me tell you what I see. And I, you know, that's... Howard is dealing with you guys or two other guys. I'm dealing... I'll tell you how I feel about my part of it. My part is that you don't need to spend a goddamn cent on this thing. That's my feeling. Howard feels differently about it. These other two guys have as much influence with the administration and in Congress as anybody. There's no question about it. There's no question about these other two guys being long-term members, being chairman of the right committees. They're the right people. But you got to look at it realistically. You got to know all the facts before you can do anything at all. Now, as I told Howard, I wanted to deal with you guys a while before I made any transactions at all. Period. In other words, I want to say, look, put some money in these guys, and let me know so that I can say, you know, these guys they want to do business in our district. Then there's a couple businesses that I'm not personally involved in, but would be very helpful to the district, that I can make a big play of, be very helpful to me. After we've done some business, you know, then I might change my mind. But right now, that's all I'm interested in, and period. And I'm going to tell you this. If anybody can do it, and I'm not bullshitting you fellas, I can get it done my way. There's no question about it. I can get it done.
All right.
And the thing you got to remember is, what happened to Park and those guys, you can't start going to people that you don't know, that don't level with you, that bullshit you, that don't look into it. For instance, I may tell you in a week after I look into it, it can't be done. Mm-hmm. It cannot be done. And I'll tell you, I won't bullshit you. When I make a deal, it's a goddamn deal. That's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, after it's done, you may tell me, well, you've already done it. There's no reason for me to deal with you. Howard tells me you're not that kind of people, that you, that you deal,
I've never backed out of a deal. Well, that's why when I said to you a little while ago, I said to you, and when I knew you were coming over, and I assumed that I was going to give you the money, and I told you, if the deal had any variance from what I originally said, I expect that you would have the option of either saying, hey, that's not what the deal that you told me about, and that you had the option of saying, hey, forget about it, or it's going to cost more. Because that's what I tell these people. I said, look, you give me the story, and you tell me. And if it's different, let me know now, because I'll have to tell these people and give them the option. So I feel I'm obligated to you to tell you,
that's right.
Hey,
and
this is the way it is. If it changes, then you have the option to say, hey, forget it, or it's more money.
I'll deal through Howard in this thing. And I'll be very straightforward about it. And, you know, the problem is I have a hard time, you know, when I start pressing these things, you know, not pressing harder than I should sometimes. Mm-hmm. But, you know, what I've got to know is exactly what you guys have in mind. Exactly. In other words, when, how many, When you say one, does that mean one in a family?
Just one.
One.
Just a check.
Just a check. That's what we were talking about.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's, and you know, you gotta put his name. You know, you've got to give me his name so that I can
Yeah,
check
well,
this
that
out,
would have
see if there's
been-
any political problems. And
That
stuff.
would have been the thing. We would have come up with, you know, the whole thing, everything, you know, that you'd need.
You're not ready for that yet, are you, at this
No,
time?
no, we weren't ready for that at
When
this
does
time.
this guy want to come?
Well, actually, he doesn't know himself.
He doesn't know himself.
How old is he?
This 43.
Well, you know, I
See,
don't know enough about
The
this.
situation changes it day to day.
Yeah, listen.
You see,
that's a volatile son of a
what
bitch.
these guys are doing is they're trying to hedge
Hey,
their
listen,
bet. You
I
know,
don't
they want to be put in a position
That's
that if all of a sudden tomorrow something goes wrong, they say, hey, they
fella,
call up and say, Tony.
Let's be honest about it. This poor son of a bitch could be killed tomorrow, and you know, and I could be in and forget about it and so forth. But when I make a fucking deal, I want to make sure that I know exactly what I'm doing, and that I can either do something for you or not do something for you. And what I'm saying is, a few investments in my district, a few, you know, it's big to me. To this guy, apparently it's not too big. To a couple banks there, which would get their attention, and an investment in a business where you can legitimately say to me, when I say legitimately, I'm talking about so these bastards up here can't say to me, well, why in 8 years from now, that's possible.
Yeah.
We'd never hear a thing for 8 years. But all at once, some dumb bastard would go start talking 8 years from now about this whole thing and say, Jesus Christ, this happened. Then he, in order to get immunity so he doesn't go to jail, he starts talking and fingering people, and the son of a bitch all falls apart, you know.
Right. Well, that's why I like the idea of helping by investing within your district,
That's right.
which gives you, in other words, if you were to stand up on a floor, I guess, and introduce a bill, all right, saying to keep this guy in his country, at least you've got, what I'm saying is at least then you've got it back, because if somebody says to you, well, why do you want this guy here?
Absolutely
Say, well, it's
right.
obvious. I want him here because he's
That's
put
right.
money into
He
my
puts a lot of
in my
money, and
district.
not only that, you go one step farther. The people in the district would be very supportive of that, because, you know, once we would go farther. We would make it known that this guy's putting money in the district and providing jobs, you see. We'll play this son of a bitch the whole way, you know, once we see that, if that's the way to play it. Now, I'm going to tell you, honestly, in a week, and I don't know if it'll even take me a week, how difficult this is. You know, I may be able to tell you today. I just happened to talk to this other fellow today, and he may be able to tell me today whether this is possible at all or whether it's impossible. Now, introducing legislation is only legitimate if the guy's in your district, because otherwise you got a real problem. And,
Well, that would be no problem to move him into your district.
That's right.
I mean, he could buy something there. You're talking about a residence of some sort, right?
I'm talking about I'm
having
talking
a business
about
commitment.
Well, a business commitment.
A business commitment that makes it imperative for me to help him. Just let me tell you something. I'm sure if there's a lot of things I've done up here with environmental regulations, with all kinds of waivers of laws and regulations, that if it weren't in a district, people would say, well, that son of a bitch, I'm going to tell you something, this guy is, on the take. Well, once they say that, what happens? Then they start going around looking for the goddamn money. So I want to avoid that by having some tie to the district, that's all. That's the secret to the whole
You give
thing.
us your banks what you want the money deposit.
All right. How much money are we talking about?
Well, that's
Whatever you
you tell
want.
me. What do you?
Well, let me
think?
find out what is a reasonable figure that will get their attention, because there's a couple banks that have really done me some favors in the past that I'd like to put some money in, and one guy in particular, that savings bank, solid, all three of them, of course, solid banks. And maybe I only want to go to one. I don't know. I have to think about this a little bit, and I'll get back to you with what I think would make an impression. You know, I'm not going to go out of hand, but I want to let these guys know that that I did it, and they'll be appreciative of it, and it'll be helpful to me.
I understand one hand washes the other,
That's right,
and
that's
you're trying to help them out. You just let me know. We're going to be here all week, and you think about it. Let me know about these
Let me
things.
go back now to the other thing. Let me go to the investment in the district, Now, what are you talking about there as far as money goes? What kind of money do you have available to you to invest in the district?
Well, I hate to just talk numbers, because the numbers,
Well,
I can talk
all right.
astronomical numbers, and I see you don't know me,
Yeah.
so I give you a number. You
Well,
may
that's
say,
why-
well, this guy's bullshitting
Tony,
me.
that's why
I'm trying to.
Tony, that's why I want to do business before, I want to do business. I want to see what the hell we're talking about. Are we talking about, he's checked you out, he says you're absolutely
Well,
right, and he's
he
giving me
knows.
some figures that, we deal in billions of dollars, and so, when you're talking about millions, it really, but what I'm interested in is employment and investment that gives him a legitimate in. And maybe I'm selling this whole thing short. Maybe it's going to be much more complicated than I think. I think there's no problem at all with this. I think with a tie to the district, that there's no problem at all getting this thing taken care
Let me ask you one other thing, Congressman, and I don't mean to insult you.
Yeah.
What guarantee have we got then that you'll get him in?
Only my word, that's all.
Hmm.
And I hope that I made myself clear that when I say I want to do something, I'm going to do it. That's all there is to it.
Now, do you, on these mines and whatnot, you're talking about an
When
outright
I say
purchase?
mine,
Well, the
I-
industry as a whole, okay? I'm saying mines because you haven't given me a specifics. I'm just using mines. But you're referring to financing the operations, some of these
Well,
operations,
well,
or purchasing?
let me give you an idea of the problem. We've had 5 go Chapter 13. One guy that I know fairly well went Chapter 13. I would assume he would want somebody to invest in it, and it's a strip mine operation. Should have been lucrative. I don't know what happened to it. Demand, I assume, is down. One guy who's not a very good businessman, who's, all this is only because they've come to me and asked me to intercede in their behalf to get environmental regulations changed and so forth, and this is what I have, and they couldn't hold out long enough. So I got 3 or 4 options in that area. Now we got some small businesses in one of the other counties that are insulation business, and they're big right now. And one guy, matter of fact, he sold it for $20 million as one business. And that son of a bitch, I'm going to tell you, he'd had nothing but debts. And all at once he got going, and insulation came. And at any rate, what I'm going to look for is something that if I know a range, I got to know a range of what the hell I'm looking at. In other words, a coal mine that hires 1,000 people, a deep mine, costs $40 million to start. Now, you don't need that kind of investment in order to have me happy. A strip mine, probably $2 or $3 million in the district to save or to start. And I'd say if you guys, ABEX came in, $66 million investment, they're going to put about 420 people to work. The jobs is really the end thing. How many jobs does this mean, and how can I justify it in order to, if I had to introduce legislation, how could I justify it? Now, the more jobs that are involved, obviously, the better it is for me to justify. You see what I'm talking about?
Well, apparently the mines that you're going to get are mines that are in trouble. A good mine is not going to sell it.
Well, you'd think that, but that's not true, you see. The demand is down, and that's something, again, you guys probably ought to go to an expert and get the advice from them about.
Well,
I mean, I could give you 5 or 6 mines that I know goddamn well that have a problem, or you could just go into the district or send somebody in the district.
Well,
look around.
let me ask you, like your friend that's got this one that's in Chapter 13.
Yeah.
What kind of money are you talking about to bail him out, to get him going? How many people does he employ?
Yeah,
like you said.
120.
All right. Now,
people.
what see if you could give me some kind of figure as to what it would cost to
Okay.
bail this guy out. 5 million, 10 million.
In other words, we're talking about, say, and I'm not, and let me assure you this, I'm not going to go to this guy and say to him, now look, you can hold these guys up for $10 million. That's going to be something you guys will have to cut yourselves.
Listen, we'll have somebody go in and
That's right.
examine the
That's
thing
right.
and look
That's
at
right.
it and figure out what would be feasible. I'm sure that if he's in Chapter 13, there are, the figures are available as to what, what he's in for, right? What he's into.
How about me doing this? All right. First of all, let me check and see if your problem can be solved.
All right.
And see what I would suggest on how it can be solved, and I'll get back to Howard about it. And I'll do that right away. And I'll give you alternatives about what I think can be done. Second of all,
you can call. In fact, if you want, you can call us here. We'll be here all week. I'll give you the number. You can call us direct.
Right. The second thing is the bank, or the banks. Probably be two, maybe at the most. And third is, I'll give you maybe a list of businesses that I think would be the appropriate businesses that would be very helpful to me if you could see your way clear any one of those, that you might. This then would give a tie, which we'd have to make a little bit of fuss about. Now, maybe the guy doesn't want to do this, but you have to remember this. You got to look down the road, public relations. Here's, maybe it's you two guys, I don't know, whoever it is, somebody's going to have to take credit in addition to Jack Murtha. And it's got to be legitimate credit for saving this particular business, whatever the hell that business happens to be.
Well, sure, I don't think that's a problem. We can put somebody in that position. Yeah. We could maybe put Howard there or somebody. I think that's the technical end of it that can be worked out.
The thing is, what I'm trying to do is establish the very thing that you talked about, the tie to the district. That's all I need. From then on, I'm going to be there 20 years in that goddamn Congress, and I don't want to screw it up by some little goddamn thing along the way that if I wanted to make a lot of money, I'd have been outside making a lot of money. And, I know what I can do and what I can't do. And I won't bullshit you. That's for sure. You've got two good people, and but I just want to know. Well, I know the facts.
Well, you know the facts now, and as the facts stand, I think you can get some kind of a commitment or get some kind of evaluation.
I'll be able to tell you exactly whether this can be done and how long it would take. And that's what you want to know.
Yeah.
What I can do. I can even tell you what the hell I can do.
Now let me ask you. Now we're here together. I was under the impression, and I told Howard we were willing to pay, and I went out. I got the $50,000. From what you're telling me, you're telling me that that's not what that's not what...
I'm not interested.
Okay.
At this point.
Okay.
We do business for a while. Maybe I'll be interested, maybe I won't,
Okay. Hey, like I say, if the way you're wanting to do business is by us investing or putting some money in a bank that either you owe a favor or they owe you a favor, or if we put the money in, they'll do something for you. If that's the way you want the favor, that's fine, When I told Howard, when I mentioned it to Howard, I said to him, I says, look, it's worth $50,000. I said, I'm as honest as I am with you, and I told him, I says, if the thing were to change, if for some reason it changes, whoever the guy is has got the option. Either he says, hey, that's not what you told me. Based on that, I can't do anything for you.
I wouldn't do business any other way.
Or like I said, or the guy could say, hey, if for that kind of a thing and that kind of heat that I'm going to get or something like that, you got to give me a bigger figure. And I can understand it.
Here's the problem, Tony. If you get into heat with politicians, there's no amount of money that can help. And this is, and I'm going to tell you very frankly, I'm on the ethics committee, and I see it. I see the thing falling apart. The thing that worried me the most is going through 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and no matter what they think it is, I know how they fall apart, Tony, and you do too. You know how the son of a bitch falls apart.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
And I know also that after a while you learn whether you can do business or not. And right now, what I'm interested in, let me put it this way. Right now, I'm interested in those other things. Now, I'm not saying that someday you made an offer, It may be that I would change my mind someday. At this point, that's all I'm interested in.
Hey,
And,
if that's what you want, that's fine, okay? Because let me say this, we just did it, all right, for somebody else in South Jersey, okay? I went in and we put $1 million, put I think $800,000 in a CD, and I got $200,000
Let me ask you this question,
savings
Tony. In a bank, a small bank,
Yeah.
assets maybe 60 million. What's a good figure that gets their attention?
Oh, I think $1 million
That gets their attention.
I think.
In other words, if I called the president and said to him, and this guy, over the years, I've been in business myself, and it loaned me a lot of money, and really been good to me. I mean, good to me. And you think, I mean, this guy has really, little bank, any goddamn thing ever wanted, they were there. I've always wanted to do them a favor. You know, it's that kind of a goddamn thing. And this is just almost an aside from getting the people working in the district.
For every dollar, yeah.
I want to see this.
Me?
Yeah.
For every dollar invested, okay, into a bank, they got the borrowing power of 4.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Well, that's why they want the money.
Yeah, well, you see, that's, what is your name?
Mel.
Mel, that's why, let me tell you something, that's why they got the money, and that's why that will be a real favor to me. As I told Tony, I think we can do business in this regard completely.
Well, you know how the Arabs do business. They like to make sure that they've got insurance. Money don't mean a shit to them.
Mel, I understand it, and I know it doesn't mean a shit to them. But on the other hand, as I look into this thing, it may be that it's the only way I can do business, by being completely dependent on, nothing. Listen, I need the goddamn money like anybody else does. But it's this thing may be so sticky that I know that it's going to take a lot of goddamn work. And if it's going to take work, the only thing that can justify it is that goddamn.
I was a little upset that you knew about the other 2 congressmen.
Yeah,
he just told me. I didn't know you knew it was Murtha and Thompson.
Yeah. You see that again, I don't like, Mel, because when they're just that's why I want to do business this way. And after we've done business for a while, maybe
I didn't know that.
See,
I was surprised that I just pulled him out for that because he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I think you're right.
But he says you're a friend of Murtha and Thompson.
That's right. I'm a friend of both of them. Both of them are solid.
I like him.
And you don't have to worry about them. Let me tell you, those 2 guys.
Murphy's a hell of a guy. I like Murphy.
Fucking Murphy's a mover too. Let me tell you, he'll do anything. He's got more balls, but you got to know what a guy can do and what a guy can't do. And in this case, Murphy, you got the right guy. There's no question. In the Congress, you couldn't have 3 better guys. Now, what you don't want to do is reach out too far, Mel.
We're not reaching.
Because if you get involved with too many goddamn guys, I'm going to tell you.
Well, let me tell you how this. Let me put you in mind of these. We'll let Thompson was a fella, and Murphy was. They said there was another fella coming.
Yeah.
All right, and that's it. We're leaving it in their hands.
And don't let these fucking names float around.
That's why I never mentioned them.
That's right.
That's why I called them
out.
Don't let them
fucking float around between here and the.
You'll never have to worry about our end.
Well, what I'm talking about, Mel, is these. They're watching these bastards all the time. Anyway, these guys. They come. They watch who they meet with and so forth. These fucking.
That's why I called him out, because I was upset that he did mention him. So he said that you're close friends and they're the ones that recommended you.
Well, that's right. Frank came to me and talked to me about it. And the first time I met Howard today, I know his law partner very well. But I know, see, the one thing is in this thing, and we can do this probably, but I've got to be completely to the point where I can disclaim anything. And that's why I'm so careful about making any deals. And I know what you're saying is you don't mean a goddamn $50,000 mean nothing to those goddamn Arabs. I know that, but that's not the point. The point is I've got to be able to pursue this maybe farther than they can, these other 2 guys. And if I'm going to do that, I've got to have, first of all, the business in the district.
Well, that we'll take care of.
And second of all,
I think Murphy and Thompson vouch for us.
Yeah,
we're stand-up guys.
We're
more nervous than you, because you remember we work for these people. We're making damn good salaries. All right. and we don't want to blow our job either.
Well, Mel, let me tell you something. You came to the right guys in order to get it done, and I think the way I'd handle it, you know, Murphy and the other guy have, you know, they got things all three of us got things we can each do. Each of us got a different responsibility in different areas. But I want to do business with you. I mean, I want to get the goddamn jobs in the area. You know, a few bank deposits in my area, nothing I like better. Later on, you know, after we've dealt a while, you know, we might change our mind. We might want to do more business. But right now, I think I can do more this way than any other way. I think I can do more by being completely independent, if you understand what I mean. And listen, it's hard for me. Shit, it's hard for me to say, you know, just the hell with it. But I think this is the way I can do the most good.
Well, let them square it away there.
Yeah. Now these other guys are expecting, no question about it, they're expecting some.
Well, that's no problem as long as you tell Tony.
Yeah. There's no question.
If you want to go one-on-one with Tony, that's up to you.
Well, I'm just telling you, they're expecting.
Why don't you let me get Tony in here, you tell him that, all right? And tell him what you want to take from him. I mean, that's all.
Well, I'm not going to get involved. Let Howard handle that part of it. Howard is your intermediary. And now, if you guys don't trust Howard, you know, that's.
Well, Tony's in charge. I have no.
Yeah, okay.
I'm there. I'm there a financial advisor. I'm the guy that look at the mines. But like I say.
Well, let me
Get
tell
Tony,
you.
let me tell you something about Tony. Tony is a great guy. You explain to him, I'll stay out with Howie, explain him that, and I'm sure it can be worked out.
Let me put it this way. These other two guys have said to me, they said they were making a deal, and the deal was this, and this. And I said, fellows, and I tried to explain to Howard this morning, I said, Howard, I'm just not interested in dealing that way until I've had some dealings. I said, I want to do some, they won't be interested. They want to, Howard,
I don't blame you for being nervous.
Howard, I'm not. It's not even a matter of being nervous. It's a matter of if I'm going to get it done, I don't think I could pursue it the same way, because in politics it's too easy to. As long as you got nothing to worry about, you can go forward. You can make speeches on the floor and anything else. Then afterwards, it's a different.
John, let me explain to you. I'll get Tony in here. You sit down and explain to what they're expecting. You know what they're expecting, and get it worked out.
Yeah.
Tony's an easy guy. He's a great guy.
Well,
he's a guy here, and we'll stay out because too many people in here. What you do one-on-one,
Mel,
it's hearsay.
Let me tell you, do it the other way around. Howard.
Well, I think Tony. Let me put it this way: we trust Howard, all right?
Yeah.
But you know, Howard likes to make money, all right? Let's
That's
call
his
it spade a
business.
spade,
That's right.
all right?
That's his business.
We let Tony, because Tony is a course guy. He don't want to look. One thing, we don't lie to them. We work for them. We're honest with them. All right, and we don't want to get caught in a lousy goddamn thing that we get in trouble. All right, because like I said, we make good money with them. We don't want to blow our job for something stupid. You explain it to Tony one-on-one. We'll stay out. One-on-one's hearsay.
Well, but I'm not acting for them.
Well,
See,
you explain it to Tony and get it straightened out, and I think it'll be done. Because
let me tell. All I'll tell Tony, Mel, is that Howard, as Howard explained it to Toppy. When I was there, is what
Who's Toppy?
That's Thompson.
Oh,
that's
Tom.
what I assume that he understood from the whole thing. But you know, that whatever you guys work out with him is entirely. What I'm saying, my deal is one thing, and you've heard my deal. My deal is the jobs and the other thing, and of course having some tie to the district. That's my deal. And whatever you guys work out with him, that's your deal.
You explain to Tony, like I said, we'll stay out of the room, and that's the best.
All
right? This way, it's just the two of you know it's hearsay.
Yeah.
Let's be a little cautious, all right?
Yeah. Okay.
You know, we're better to be cautious than sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's right.
But those mines up there have the washers too?
Some of them have washers. Some of them don't. See, when you get into washer, you're talking about $40 million when you get into a washer. Now,
well, that's why the small mines can't make it. They don't have the washers.
I don't know why they didn't make it. All I know is they say they didn't make it because the demand is down.
Well, there's a demand for coal because the government's putting more and more companies on coal.
That's right. But they can't make it until that demand goes up. That's their problem.
The demand's going up. The mines are today, but if they don't have the equipment to wash it, it costs too much to take out.
I don't know. You know. Apparently, you know, the operational part of it, I don't know. But I do know this, that, you know, if the coal mines aren't the business, we'll find another business. We've got to find a business in the district. That's all there is to it.
Because one of the problems getting the coal out is the cost of getting it out. And with the washer and the conveyor, the cost is cut in half.
You mean...
You see, you got to wash the coal. It's got to be washed somewhere.
I know that.
So they got to pick it up there and take it somewhere else and pay to be washed.
Yeah.
The cost is too great.
Yeah, well, it may be. I don't know. I don't know how. Don't have the slightest idea the figures in these guys' minds. I don't have the slightest idea. I know that Westinghouse is dealing with one of them to buy their mineral rights and to prop them up. They're in desperate shape as one outfit, and
I'm gonna tell you, is Murtha in town now? Murtha?
don't think so.
I didn't think he was. He's got some set of balls up.
Oh, that guy's got balls. He's got balls. I'm going to tell you something. He's got more balls than the guy in Congress. Yeah. Doesn't give a shit.
You got to admire him for it.
Yeah, I admire him. And he gets things done, too. Let me tell you something. He gets up and talks for Samosa. He gets up and talks for, people unpopular. He doesn't give a shit. He went to school with Samosa,
Yeah,
West Point, so he doesn't give a shit. You know, and I have a little different, you know, he doesn't expect to be in the leadership. I have to be more careful. That's what it amounts to. I expect to be in the fucking leadership of the House, and you have anything said against you, then you got a problem. So you got to be able to justify it. And I'm just avoiding having any problems, what it amounts to. And I'm delighted to do business. Shit, I do business like this all the time to get companies into the area and to get business into the area. Nobody's quite as generous as you guys have been, but
well, the problem
I understand it.
The Arabs realize that it's going to be over for them there.
That's right.
And they don't want what happened to the Shah.
And I'm going to tell you, it scared the shit out of me. If I had all that money and didn't have any place to go, or had to go to some second-rate place like Panama, a goddamn island off Panama. Can you imagine the Shah with all his money have to go to Panama?
His problem, he got the wrong team behind him.
Yeah.
If he had the Nixons.
Yeah.
Kissinger did more for him than anyone.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's not even safe there.
That's right. Some son of a bitch liable to slip in there and shoot him.
They'll bleed him dry before
That's
he's
right.
finished there.
Yep. Well, I've got to get
Right,
back.
let me get Tony for you, all right? Tony?
Clarify it, but John says it is okay for you to give me what's in that drawer. Is that all right?
Tony, let me make it very clear. The other two guys do expect to be taken care of as Howard, and you're going to have to deal through Howard. Me, you've got my deal, so that's my deal is.
We have a deal.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but wait a minute, hold it. I'm giving you, all right?
You're giving.
I'm giving you, all right?
Right.
We're going around and around about this whole thing, which is...
You're giving me, and I'm going to do what is right with everybody.
No, I don't... This is... Now, I understand, and this all just come out between all of these little conversations that Thompson...
Two other guys, right. Don't have to mention anything.
Why not?
We know who they are. He knows who they are. Jack and the other fella that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
All right, so why am I giving the money to
You're not. You're doing... I don't know that that's really important to you. As long as
Yes, it is, because I'm supposed to be... I'm here to...
You are.
To do business with him.
You have made an arrangement.
Not with them.
You have made an arrangement. But they have been instrumental in an introduction.
They have been instrumental in an introduction. Howard, I don't like this.
Okay. Then forget.
Okay. I don't like this. I think, I'll tell you what you do.
No,
I know.
we're going home.
I know that. You know what?
You deal with Howard however you want to deal with him.
You give me the names.
Give
me the names of the banks that you want this thing put into. That's what you want.
I told you my deal.
Okay.
And these other two guys, and I told you before, I don't think you're going to have any problem taking care of your
All right.
situation.
Okay. I respect your position in that you told me what you wanted me to do for you. Okay, you give me the names, and in order to prove that I can do what I say I can do.
Fair enough.
You give me the names of the banks, okay, and tell me what kind of figure you're talking about putting in there, okay? Then let me put the money in there. Then we'll talk.
Well,
okay.
That's what we'll talk about though is getting jobs for the district and okay.
Yeah. Hey, that's no problem. You know, like you said, you got the fellow who's in Chapter 13.
Yeah.
All right. Let me know what it would take to get him out of that.
Well,
what kind of
what I'll give you is a number of companies that could provide
Okay.
jobs that'll give me a link to the district. That's what
All
I'll
right.
give you.
Fine.
Okay?
Let's work it on that basis. Howard, if you want to come back later.
Okay,
Come
let me
on,
just
man.
stay 1 minute and we'll take off.
Okay.
Jesus, 20. What time do you have to leave, John?
I'm ready. You know, anytime.
Okay,
Don't
I'll
spend
be
too much
2
time
minutes.
here.
He'll take you to the airport.
Yeah.
If you
No,
gotta
no,
go-
he's got his car. He's
Oh,
driving
back
back.
to the-
Oh, okay.
He's driving back.
Let me ask you a question, something. If you gotta give Murphy and Thompson, all right? When Murphy comes in,
That's what I told him.
No,
No.
I told Tony, okay, that if you raise that subject with Murphy, okay, he's going to deny it. He don't want to get involved in the situation. You're going to blow the whole shipping situation over this crappy piece of shit. Okay. Now, my problem is that they both know that I brought him out to the house, and they both know, you know, what the arrangement has been in the past, okay? It's going to look as if somebody...
No, it's not going to look that way.
I'm going to tell you...
You tell Thompson exactly what happened.
I'm going to tell him.
Because
But he ain't going to believe me.
He will, because he did the same damn thing. Okay?
Right.
You ask him to call me. I'll be here all week.
I ain't going to have... He ain't going to call you.
Why not? He came back the second time,
Well, I
didn't he?
understand that. But what's your reluctance, Tom?
Because I don't want to give... I'm not going to throw 25 grand a piece for them to bring
They're
this
not.
money.
He's going to get his.
Well, he's not telling me that.
Well, he ain't going to say that to
Howard,
me.
the case is over. Now, you decide now what you want to do, because I don't like the way this is going. All right?
What did we do wrong?
What did we do wrong?
Yeah.
I had a man here that you said was going to come in here. He wanted the 50,000. He was going to tell me what he was going to do. He was going to take the 50,000.
Man
He was
told
gonna
you
leave.
that.
No, he told me he didn't want the 50,000. He told me he wanted 2 favors. Okay? I says, okay, fine.
Now, wait a minute. We went through this before. You understand how Thompson was gun shy.
He came back and told me.
Okay.
He told me he got it. He left. Anything happened?
No.
Okay.
No.
I rest my
No,
case.
no. But wait a minute. You're not trying to tell me that he doesn't know about the money, because you've already mentioned it to him 3 times.
Yeah,
so that
but
if he
he's
takes
saying-
it, he knows that
no,
I ain't
he's
going to
saying-
keep it.
Hey, Howard, do me a favor. You go ahead and tell Thompson what I said and Murphy, all right? And as far as you're concerned, Thursday, when you come back with Murphy, I'll take care of you as far as this is concerned. I don't know if you're going to have a problem with them as far as what they were supposed to get. You let them say. I'll tell them again.
Go higher.
Okay, John. Okay. Let's go. Bruce? Let's go, pal. How long are you going to be here?
Wait,